There's lots of points of order. I'll take the Leader of the SNP.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and I have informed the Prime Minister that I would be making a point of order. I was informed by the government front bench that he had to go. My goodness, I think those of us on this side of the House absolutely agree that he has to go. He has to go as Prime Minister. Mr Speaker, people throughout these islands have been watching this debate today. People feel revulsion at the stories that have emerged, in particular the video last night. What is worse, Prime Minister, what is worse, Mr Speaker, is that there are now authoritative reports of not just one, not just two, but 3 different Downing Street parties during lockdown last Christmas, including one, Mr Speaker, in the Prime Minister's flat. What do we have to do on this side of the House to make sure that the Prime Minister takes responsibilities for his breach of trust, for the breach of COVID regulations, and he does the right thing on behalf of all the people of all these islands, and he resigns now?
I think I made that decision. No, I know you're not, and it's not to me, obviously. Can I just say, it is a very tense moment for the House, and I just want to try and calm it down. What I would say is that we can't continue a debate after it's already gone on. What I would say is I am not aware of any media attention, but I can also say it is not for me to rule on something that happens in Downing Street. What I would say is you've got it on the record, and I think we're going to leave it at that. Point of order. Alberto Costa.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The Committee on Standards has issued its 4th report of this session, which makes a number of proposals and recommendations, some open for consultation. As one of the longer-standing MP members of the committee, some colleagues in this House, cross-party, have approached me seeking guidance. It's become apparent to me, Mr Speaker, that many colleagues are unaware of the existing practices and processes of the Standards Committee and the Code, let alone understanding those changes that are proposed. The committee is keen to ensure full consultation, and its chairman and team is doing a good job on encouraging members to take part. With that in mind, I've checked Erskine May and spoken to some senior colleagues and asked whether it would be appropriate for me to offer a meeting or meetings for colleagues across this House to listen to them, for them to take part in the consultations and propose recommendations, always with a view to emphasising my views and listening and strongly encouraging colleagues to participate and express their views in this process. The consultation, Mr Speaker, runs until 20th of January. I understand it is entirely in order and permitted. Could you confirm, Mr Speaker, that you would encourage colleagues across the House to take part in this important consultation process?
What I would say is I would encourage all members to take part in the consultation process that's been launched. What I would say is it's certainly not a point of order for me. I think what you've done is a point of clarification for the House. West Street. Sorry. Is it further to that point? Oh, right. West Street, come on.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. On a point of order, have you been notified by the Government of their intention to make a statement today from the Department for Health and Social Care? Because if media reports are to be believed, there will be a Cabinet meeting this afternoon, followed by a Downing Street press conference to announce the introduction of new restrictions. Mr Speaker, you've made it clear in the past that statements should be heard here first. And I want to say, further to what the Prime Minister said at Prime Minister's questions, despite what he said to the Leader of the Opposition, this party, on these benches, have always put public health before party politics, which is why we have voted with them time and again. Do not abuse that trust in the way that the public trust has been abused. We will always put public health first, but we expect that announcement to be made here.
Can I first of all say I'm very grateful to the honourable member for giving notice of the point of order. I can confirm that I've had no request from the government to make a statement. Of course, I am open, as soon as the government wishes to come forward, to say that it is going to make a statement. I will say to the government, I repeatedly and continue to repeat that it must be here for backbenchers, whether government or opposition, to hear it in this chamber. This chamber is where statements are made. It goes against the ministerial code. I don't want to fall out with the Prime Minister, but it is not a good way of getting Christmas cards between us, because I take it and find it very, very offensive. And I would say now, there is plenty of time for the government to come forward to say that it will make a statement here. What I do not want is statements to be made outside. I want the respect of this House. I expect government to make sure they respect their own backbenchers, because I do if he doesn't. So I would say this is a chance for all to make sure this House hears it first. I hope, with my voice, they should be able to hear it now in Downing Street, because I will make sure that they do. So please, let us not take this House for granted. And I stand firmly behind all the members of this House that it must be here first. Sorry, we're going through them. Sorry. Florence Session-Lumley, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the 3rd of November, I raised the tragic case of my constituent's mother, who sadly died by suicide, and the Prime Minister agreed to meet with me. Mr. Speaker, how best can I get that meeting? Because essentially the Prime Minister is now refusing to meet with me.
What I can say is I will write to the Prime Minister to remind him that he did promise to have a meeting with you. I will pass on those remarks, and I'm sure the front bench will have heard it as well. And I would say, when people do make statements they will meet, they should honour that. All members of this House count. All members matter. Sorry, where are we going to go? Alistair Carmichael.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And further to the point of order from the Shadow Secretary of State for Health, successive government ministers have promised that vaccine passports will not be introduced without the prior approval of this House. But yet it is reported today that they are going to do exactly that. What can you do, Mr. Speaker, to protect the position of this House and to ensure that government ministers keep the promises they have made to it?
First of all, I don't want to continue a debate we've already answered to. What I would say is I expect and I know that your voice will be heard, and it's certainly on the record. Right, Mark Pritchard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just need your clarity, if I may, on a point of procedure. Earlier, the Leader of the Opposition invoked Her Majesty the Queen in the political exchange. And I thought there was guidance.
Order. No, I'm not going to even enter into that. If you look at yesterday's order paper, you will find that someone from the other side did. It was in passing and not part of the dates. Christopher Chope.
Mr. Speaker, further to the points made about the need for the government to come to this House if it has anything to announce today, would you exceptionally permit the use of the urgent question procedure if there isn't a statement offered, so that we could put down an urgent question this afternoon for answer today?
So I will be very willing to look if it's feasibly possible to see if we could use a UQ if there is a way round the rules, because I'd be more than willing to accept if the government wasn't willing to come forward with a statement. I totally agree. A statement would be beneficial. As I say, I'm sure Downing Street wouldn't let the members of this House down. Catherine West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And your advice has been very valuable today. I wonder if you could extend it just more to... I feel from my question 6 in Prime Minister's questions that there were some inconsistencies in the reply. I'm wondering, could you please advise me of next steps in managing the matter?
Unfortunately, I'm not responsible for the answers. It's as simple as that, and I certainly don't want to be. Alice Brendan McDale.
Following on indeed from that, Mr. Speaker, and with reports swirling in the last few minutes, in fact a half hour, would you, Mr. Speaker, accommodate and encourage a statement from the Prime Minister on just how many parties they've had in government buildings and when during the COVID restrictions?
We're not going to extend the debate, and you've been here long enough to know that I'm not going to be tempted by that. Right, no further points of order.